I'm delighted that we've got Alexandra Jour-Schroeder with us, the Deputy Director General of DG FISMA. We just heard again that Sean is actually in the US at the moment, so the Director General. But Alexandra, it's a real pleasure to have you with us. I couldn't really summarize all the points that we discussed over the last 2 days. Your team has been amazing in contributing to many of those discussions, including Peter just now moderating a session. We heard about the importance of global cooperation just now from Jay, the new, well, not new, but newly confirmed Undersecretary of International at the US Treasury. But I'd love, given this is a European conference, to hear your views on international cooperation in these important areas of financial services and the digital transformation.
Nicholas, thank you very much for the very kind introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening. I'm very pleased for the opportunity to basically close the 7th annual FinTech and Regulation Conference that, as Nicholas said, has been running over 2 intense past days. There's lots of interesting interventions on many very topical issues, and I'm happy that we could support the great team in DG FISMA on many of the topics that have also just been raised by Jay. And it becomes a little bit of a good tradition that I'm asked to close and to do the final speech today, and I'm very happy for that. But before I go into the substance, let me take 1 minute to congratulate Afore Consulting for having put the spotlight on the implications that technological disruption is having on the financial system, but also the regulators' response. And it was actually particularly interesting to listen just to Jay, and I also would like to use the opportunity to really stress that the United States remain a key partner for us when it comes to tackling the consequences of the digital transformation. And I have to say it was also very encouraging to hear how the US is moving forward on many topics that are equally important to us. And as I have the floor, and I will use the opportunity to perhaps give you a sort of mirror image, if you like, by setting out how we see our cooperation with the US and other partners evolving on the key issues of crypto assets, digital resilience, as well as the very exciting issues of central bank digital currencies and payments. And after my intervention, I think Nicholas and Anne will finally let the curtain fall for today. But let me start with crypto assets, also to pick up upon the last panel you have had this afternoon. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, turbulences and incidents like the recent collapse of FTX have shaken the market. And while the full extent and impact of these events will probably only be seen over the coming months or even years, we can be sure of one thing. This asset class needs sound, clear rules. And this is particularly urgent given the fact that many consumers have been drawn and are drawn to crypto assets. And as Commissioner McGuinness recalled yesterday, the EU has been an early mover, the first major jurisdiction in the world to design a comprehensive legal framework for crypto assets with our regulation on marketing crypto assets everybody knows as MiCA. But I also have to say that there is no reason to be complacent, especially because crypto assets are global. If anybody had any doubts about it, the dimension and the consequences we have seen of the FTX failure and the enormous efforts it will take to disentangle its worldwide net of activities are clear evidence of this. So the regulation and supervision of crypto assets need to be global too. We need to work together across the world and develop a joint approach and shared international principles. And let me use the opportunity to briefly recall 4 key principles we in the EU consider essential for crypto assets. First, no product should remain unregulated. Second, supervisors should collect and exchange information globally. Retail investors, third, need to be protected. And last but not least, the crypto ecosystem should integrate also environmental consideration because it is an issue in this business. And I have to say we are very pleased that in the US, both the administration but also the Congress are looking into ways of establishing a regulatory regime for crypto assets, and also other jurisdictions like Japan and recently the United Kingdom are taking steps. And we firmly believe that the EU and the US can work together to lead global efforts to regulate these assets. Our intention has always been to achieve a global approach, and in fact, MiCA is to quite large extent built on jointly developed principles, notably those presented by the Working Group on Regulatory Issues of the FSB. And it is also very positive that it is now a top priority for the FSB to finalize its recommendations for the international regulation of crypto asset activities. And we believe that those are a very good basis for moving forward. And if I may just hint to another international aspect, that is that we also very much welcome the recent agreement on common Basel standards on the prudential treatment of banks' crypto assets that should be implemented by the 1st of January 2025. And I can also very clearly say to everybody today that our objective is in the EU is to implement them at the earliest opportunity. And of course, we count on our international partners to do the same. But before I move on to the next point, let me just make one more observation and stress that while we certainly seek to mitigate the risks associated with crypto assets, we are also at the same time working a lot to promote responsible innovation in this area. And you know, we have our new pilot regime for market infrastructures, the DLT pilot, and with that, firms will be able by March this year to start to experiment with this technology in a safe space, issuing, trading, and selling shares or bonds on DLT, for example. So we're very excited about this, and it is a completely new project and a new kind of exercise, and a bit of an adventure for us as well. But let me come to another point Jay was also mentioning in his intervention, that is cybersecurity, an extremely important topic where, again, we are working closely with the United States and other international partners. And here, like in the crypto sphere, it's a truly global issue that requires a global response. And I mean, I don't tell you a secret that financial institutions depend more and more on IT services and software, which is absolutely fine, but of course makes them vulnerable to cyber attacks and other threats, especially, I have to say, in the current geopolitical context. And at the same time, there are other phenomena, fraud and theft, particularly sensitive when it comes to financial services. Customers, independently whether they are businesses or consumers, need to be able to trust that their data and actually finally their money are safe. This is a precondition for innovative products and applications to be successful. Yes, finally, the EU's Digital Operational Resilience Act, DORA, entered into force in January this year. And I'm really confident that it is a strong common basis for European firms to face all these important and often very heavy challenges, because it requires stronger ICT risk management, a better reporting of incidents, resilience testing, and oversight of critical ICT third-party providers. I know the last point on third-party providers has attracted a lot of attention, and we have discussed it intensively with our US counterparts to clarify our intention to ensure coherence in EU legislation. And overall, I see today broad agreement that DORA is a very balanced piece of regulation which ensures effective oversight over ICT third-party risks without, and that is really important also for me to stress, without disruption of international data flows or international cooperation. So we're very pleased that the US Treasury has set up a multilateral dialogue on critical third-party providers. This really offers a very much welcomed opportunity to work together to fine-tune our efforts to fight cyber risks, a goal that we absolutely share. And similarly, I can also tell you that the EU remains very committed to cooperate on cyber-related issues in other international fora. And let me finally turn to a very exciting and a very new subject, that is central bank digital currencies or digital payments. Like the United States and many other jurisdictions across the world, we are exploring the potential introduction of a digital form of central bank money, and that would be the digital euro in the European Eurozone. And it's also very important for me to stress that this digital euro would not replace cash, but complement it. It is really important to say, because I know there is some concern outside, so it is really important to stress this. It could be, in our view, a vital step to ensure that the euro stays relevant in the digital era. However, as our counterparts in the United States have found as well, it is not an easy endeavor. There are lots of questions that need to be answered. And that is why we all in the European Commission, my colleagues in DG FISMA and other services, are working very closely with the European Central Bank. And we do this on a wide range of topics. And I could speak much more about this, but maybe just to give you a certain gist of things we are looking into. This is, first of all, safeguarding financial stability, but also to ensure privacy, a big concern of many. And we have also to be vigilant that we are fostering still financial inclusion. So we would expect a digital euro to support the international role of the single currency. However, there are implications related to a possible international use of a digital euro we are already assessing very carefully. What is clear, however, is that interoperability with other retail central bank digital currencies would be key. And Europe intends to play a leading role in building this interoperability. The international work on CDBCs, for example, at the Bank of International Settlements and the G7 and their more fora, can certainly be an important basis for this. And like the US Treasury and the Federal Reserve, we are particularly interested in the potential a central bank digital currency has to boost innovation in payments. A possible digital euro would have to offer a clear added value, and of course it must be attractive to users. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is after 6 o'clock, after 2 intense days, so let's come to an end and let's finish. But before I do that, I would stress again that our digital finance agenda in Europe remains central to our work to ensure that Europe remains competitive. Europe has creative entrepreneurs, a big single market, and a legal framework we are constantly adapting to ensure it helps build the trust in new products, services, and business models to flourish. In this context, we are looking forward to continue our excellent cooperation and work with the United States and other international trusted partners to address together new challenges in digital finance, but even more to grasp the tremendous opportunities. So with that, thank you very much. And again, I thank a lot Nicolas and Anne for having again organized such an excellent conference.
Thank you very much indeed, Alexandra, for the kind words. And yes, it is becoming a nice tradition that you close our conference always after a prominent US speaker. And I think that's appropriate that the Commission has the last word in this conference. and looks at the international dimension. And some of the things you say are incredibly encouraging, like again the point on interoperability of CBDCs, which is very close to our heart, at least on the retail side, as you said. And before I close the curtain, just two last comments. I think I've tried to take three things away from these 2 days. I think one is mindset, just that supervisors, industry, regulators remain open to innovation and the positive aspects of innovation, and that was very encouraging. The second one is cooperation, be it international cooperation between member states, between different EU institutions, between the industry and regulators and supervisors, but also importantly dialogue, jointly understanding how technology is evolving, how it's impacting the industry, what its opportunities are, but also being realistic what its risks are and how we mitigate those risks. And I think it's been a very, very successful 2 days. Last thing, thank you. We had over 60 speakers. We had over 1,000 active participants, which I think is an absolute record. And a big thank you, obviously, to our strategic partners, which will be shown in a moment, and to the Afore team that has been working relentlessly over the last months to make this possible. But also, Alexandra, a big thank you to you and your team again, because in developing the themes of this conference, we've been working very close with Jan and his team to make sure that what we're doing contributes to the public policy debate in the most constructive way. Thank you very much to everybody. See you next year, hopefully maybe even in person again. And in the meantime, good evening to everybody, and a big thank you again to you, Alexandra, for making the time. Thank you.